Hello and welcome to my channel, I Win to Lose Gaming. Phrolova is the newest playable character in Wuthering Waves, and boy is her kit insane. In today's ultimate guide video, you'll learn everything you need to know about Phrolova.
The soul never entombed. Cadence, pulse, symphony of life.
It's Phrolova for the playable enemy boss meme, because Phrolova actually feels like a boss character even after you get her. Phrolova is an epic off-field havoc puppet no jutsu user who looks and feels incredible to use. She's also a bit more flexible than I expected, which we'll dive into in the teams and showcases section. Quick note, this video was filmed on the media server and things may be subject to change upon the official release. Please check the comments below to see if anything changed. As usual, we'll go over her kit, her rotations, best echoes and stats, weapons, sequences, teams, some showcases, and finally my opinion on Phrolova.
Chant songs of old.
Okay, while Phrolova continues to buck the trend of weak playable boss characters, she is continuing the trend of having a comically complicated concerto of a kit. But that's why I'm here, to read through all of this so you don't have to. Phrolova's gameplay is as follows. Phrolova wants to generate 6 notes for her forte bar, then use her hold basic, which gives her access to her liberation, where she will command her Hecate puppet to attack the enemy. In order to perform the first step of generating 6 notes for her forte bar, Phrolova can hit the enemy with the following. Her basic 3 generates a note, and her basic 3 also gives her access to basic forte and skill forte, where using either of these will also generate a note. Similar, her resonance skill also generates a note, and also similarly, using her resonance skill gives her access to basic forte and skill forte, where again using either of those will generate a note. Now I gotta be honest, the color of the notes barely matter, but if you really want to know, the purple note leads to some of her puppet attacks doing 5% less damage, which honestly, for most of us, don't worry about it. So a couple good starting attack strings to generate 2 notes are as follows, basic 1 through 3, and then skill forte. I like this one because the skill forte actually animation cancels the basic 3, making this notably faster here than using her basic forte. Then we have skill forte, or you could use basic forte here as well. This one though is nice with skill forte because you can just mash that skill button like it owes you a 50-50, making it easier to execute. In total, there are 4 main ways to generate 2 notes. Reach basic 3 or use her resonance skill to initiate either her basic or skill fortes. Needless to say, you can mix and match basic attack 3s, her resonance skill, her basic forte and skill forte, and also use her intro skill and dodge counters because both intro skill and dodge counters lead directly to basic 3. So yeah, basically just mix and match these things to get 6 notes. Now, I figured I'd still talk about this, but you'll notice that some of her notes are shinier, which again, honestly don't worry too much about it. But basically, if an echo was used prior to gaining one of these notes, it will become shiny, and it used the slightly higher puppet multiplier, which again, unless you're trying to min-max, don't worry about it. Okay, now with all that yapping about 6 notes out of the way, once you have 6 notes, perform a hold basic, which will allow you to then use her liberation right after. And yes, you might have noticed, but she doesn't have any energy, and instead she just requires 6 notes plus hold basic plus the 25-second cooldown of her liberation to be over. And this cooldown is indicated by this little hourglass icon above her forte bar. Anyway, once she uses her liberation, it's practically art, as she enters puppet no jutsu to attack the enemy with her puppet. She can stay on field kind of, I guess, in the air, so technically she's in the air, but I guess she's kind of on field, to perform a bunch of puppet attacks or even dodge with the puppet, where after puppet attacks 1 and 2, she'll perform an enhanced puppet no jutsu. However, when she's off field, she won't automatically perform these enhanced puppet attacks, and instead, allies have to trigger an echo, once per type of echo, for Phrolova to perform an enhanced puppet no jutsu. So yeah, ideally you want a character that can spam a lot of different echoes, jellyfish lady, for the maximum number of enhanced puppet no jutsus. And finally, Phrolova will stay in Puppet no Jutsu state for about 24 seconds. Also, when Phrolova outros during her Puppet no Jutsu state, she will automatically perform 2 enhanced puppet attacks. And finally, the last detail that you need to know about it is swapping to Phrolova during her Puppet no Jutsu state will end the Puppet no Jutsu state. There are a couple more details worth knowing about in her kit. First, while she's off field, you can tell how much time is left on her liberation, with each ball indicating 4 seconds. Next, after using her liberation, her next intro skill will be her super intro skill, which, well, just does more damage. Also, you may have noticed this buff with a number above her forte bar, which is her second major trace, and it's called the aftersound buff, which basically just provides a bunch of crit damage, so you should unlock this ASAP. This number will also keep going up during combat and won't wear off until after the current battle, which is nice. So yeah, that about covers it for her kit. Again, to summarize, her goal is to generate 6 notes as fast as possible, use her hold basic so you can then use her liberation, and then spam as many unique echoes as possible on her teammates to deal more enhanced puppet attacks. For her talent priority, prioritize her liberation, then her normals. After that, her forte, and lastly, her intro and then skill. So, a good starting rotation to generate 6 notes is to mix and match the 4 earlier options that each generate 2 notes. For starters, something like the following. Use her basic attacks 1 through 3, then use her skill forte, and I like the skill forte because again animation cancels the basic 3. Then use the echo to partially animation cancel the skill forte, and then you can use her regular resonance skill, and I personally like to use her basic forte here, into basics 1 through 3, into a skill forte, into her heavy attack, which then makes her liberation available, then use her liberation, and then outro. And just as an example, here is a full team rotation, assuming you're using one of her most recommended teams, which include Rocha as well as Cantarella. Of course, as always, these are just starting rotations to hopefully give you guys a quick refresher on how to use these characters.
Cadence, holt, symphony of life.
We've made it to Phrolova's Echoes, Echoes, Echoes. Fortunately, building her is quite simple, and you should use the new 3-slot Echo set, Dream of the Lost. Yes, your eyes are not deceiving you, this is our first 3-cost Echo set in the game. At 0 resonance energy, Phrolova gets 20% crit rate and 35% Echo skill damage bonus, and since Phrolova doesn't use energy, this is the perfect set for her. So this means you can also equip another 2-piece Echo set, where the Havoc Eclipse is the most recommended option, providing 10% more Havoc damage. The 2-piece Lingering Tune set is usable, but because she gets 120% attack during Maestro state, attack is a very diluted stat for her. So yeah, for the 3-piece, use the new Dream of the Lost. For the 2-piece set, use 2-piece Havoc Eclipse, and use the Nightmare Hecate for the main equipped Echo. Hecate. Anyway, with crit damage as the main stat for weapons with crit rate, like her signature weapon, as well as some others. For the other weapons without crit rate, like the Cosmic Ripples, you can use either crit rate or crit damage, whichever helps you balance your crit ratio a bit more. For the 3-cost Echoes, it's the usual Havoc percent, and for the 1-cost Echoes, use attack percent and attack percent. And again, since Phrolova gets 120% attack, 3-cost attack percent Echoes are not recommended. For the substats, get as much crit rate and crit damage as possible, followed by attack percent, then skill damage is okay since she does a solid amount of that, and finally flat attack isn't useless. Speaking of useless, as a quick reminder, energy regen is completely useless on her.
Chant, songs of old.
Phrolova's rectifiers are up next, and we have the world's smallest violin, which is how you'll feel if you don't have her signature rectifier, the Lethian Elegy, because this thing provides a whopping 39% boost to her damage over the best free-to-play friendly option, the Cosmic Ripples. This thing is clearly tailor-made for her, providing a bit of attack, but more importantly, providing echo damage and amplification. As for the other 5-star stat sticks like the String Master, her signature performs around 20% better than the String Master, and her signature performs about 25% better than the others, so yeah, it's still a very substantial upgrade. Overall, I do recommend her signature rectifier, especially if you don't have the other 5-star stat sticks. As for the 4-star options, you can use the Augment, but you'll be doing a lot less damage here. Here is the full weapon chart for you to take a gander at.
Cadence, holt, symphony of life.
We've made it to Phrolova's sequences and investment priority. And good news for those oil barons out there, because Phrolova's got one of the most broken sequence 6s in the game. For most of us though, oil consumers like myself, I do recommend going for her signature weapon, the Lethian Elegy first, as it's a massive 39% boost over her best free-to-play friendly option, the Cosmic Ripples. Next we have her sequence 1, which increases the damage of her Forte skill and Forte basic. And my assumption is that I believe at the beginning of the fight she'll get 2 free notes, but I'm gonna have to confirm that, so yeah. Sequence 2 improves her hold basic and after sound attacks. Sequence 3 is the big one, providing 80% echo skill damage amplification and a bunch of other minor stuff, and this is a good place to stop for those of you oil civil engineers out there. But for you oil barons, Sequence 4 gives 20% bonus damage to the team, Sequence 5 is a stepping stone for Sequence 6 and improves survivability by a bit, and Sequence 6 is insane, improving the damage of Hecate's enhanced attack and performing Hecate's enhanced attacks during your Forte basics and skills, and just giving a ton of damage to Phrolova. This is definitely one of the better Sequence 6s we've seen to date.
Chant, songs of old.
Alright, now what surprised me the most was actually Phrolova's team variety. Yes, it's pretty apparent that Rocha and Cantarella are fantastic with her. The Rock's magic box ability counts as an echo cast, and as such will provide an extra echo cast for Phrolova to use another enhanced Hecate. Jellyfish Woman, aka Cantarella, has 3 built-in echo casts throughout her typical rotation and is definitely the best teammate for Phrolova. However, Phrolova still does pretty solid damage even without Rocha, and you can replace Rocha with many different alternatives such as Shorekeeper, Verena, Danjin, or even Jinxi. As for replacing Cantarella's slot, it's a bit more difficult in comparison to Rocha, but my personal favorite combination is a weird one with Jiyan and Shorekeeper. Jiyan can benefit from the heavy attack outro amplification that Phrolova can provide. You can also use Havoc Rover or Dungeon or even characters like Zhe as well. Due to Phrolova's general flexibility and still doing pretty solid damage even without Cantarella and Rocha, she is quite flexible, and here are a bunch of calcs of various teams for you all to take a look at. Of course, there will be plenty of characters for you to experiment with and to use her with.
Cadence, holt, symphony of life.
Alright, and if you thought this video was Phrolova, well, it ain't over yet, because we've got a few Phrolova showcases, starting with this first one, which is going to be the Phrolova, Rocha, and Cantarella team that, you know, most people are probably going to want to run with her as of her release. And the reason why this is good is because that Rocha, as I mentioned earlier in the team section, well, she's able to just bounce, take advantage of the outro buff that Phrolova provides, because Rocha does a decent amount of heavy attack damage, and also she provides that extra additional echo cast, which we're going to have to use at some point during Cantarella's rotation, and hopefully I remember to do it in this specific showcase. If not, well, just trust me. It looks like I didn't actually use it here, and I swear I had a run where I did, but at this point of recording, I guess I don't. But either way, it's not like that would have changed, you know, how many rotations this clear would have taken, because yeah, it's going to be taken out with the next rotation. And either way, yeah, I already activated sequences at this point to test out the sequences, so we're not going back to get a perfect rotation. But you can see here that you're supposed to use Rocha's you know, little T ability thing, and of course Cantarella's additional echo casts will cause Phrolova to do a lot of the enhanced puppet no jutsu attacks. Anyway, up next we have Shorekeep plus Jiyan, and funnily enough, I really liked this combination specifically. It felt quite good, at least against this specific room and stuff, because with a little bit of animation canceling, you know, doing Shorekeeper stuff while building up Phrolova, and even here you can see I got clapped, but hey, it's not going to be a perfect run like always. You know, I rarely play perfectly, but hey, it is what it is. So anyway, Jiyan is coming out now, and even though there are definitely, I mean, you know, no questions about it, less Phrolova enhanced puppet attacks, and hopefully I do Jiyan's echo too. Please I win to lose. Please, past I win to lose. Don't shame me here and use Jiyan's echo in time. Okay. And yeah, Phrolova still got our puppet things going, so fortunately we did manage to use the echoes properly. But either way, we can expect this to also take it out in 2 rotations, and on the screen You're going to see here that I have the clear times from the testing that I did. And yeah, I mean, it was mostly in line with what we expected, although I think this account did a little bit better with Shorekeeper, because also keep in mind that when it comes to Phrolova with Shorekeeper, a very well-built Phrolova is going to over-crit with Shorekeeper, especially with Phrolova's signature weapon, so do keep that in mind. And up next, we have Sequence 6 R5, and this time I just went with Shorekeeper instead of Roach because I figured, you know, probably Shorekeeper, just a pretty fast rotation just to get Phrolova onto the field in order for her to do her stuff. And here we go, absolutely going crazy. You can see there that Phrolova's heavy attack there actually chipped away at the Mech Abomination. And I mean, yeah, needless to say, this is going to be a very powerful team with S6R5. And just like that, 16-17 second clear.
Chant songs of old.
Phrolova is a fantastic off-field Havoc DPS character, and frankly, I am very happy with the direction Wuthering Waves took with her. While she definitely strongly benefits from allied echo usage, like with Canderella, Phrolova feels very usable in other teams. Not only that, but perhaps there will be more characters in the future that can spam echoes and their abilities, similar to Canderella, which means that Phrolova could continue to improve. Phrolova, even as of her release, feels very competitive to the other top teams, well, especially with her best team, and also feels very flexible. And it's that flexibility that I really appreciate about Phrolova. Let me know what you think about Phrolova down in the comments below. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. This is I Want to Lose, signing out.